is KCAL News Mornings.
Well, could we see a shift in the race for president? Tonight, we could see one as Vice President Harris squares off against former President Trump.
But what do the experts on both sides expect to happen? We're joined now by Democratic strategist Michael Trujillo, my apologies, and Klink campaign's owner Matthew Klink. Thank you so much for being here. Michael, I did this to you last time. I apologize. Let's dive into the questions. Many are calling tonight's debate a defining moment for both of them. What's on the line for both candidates tonight? And first, I want to start with you, Michael.
Well, I think, Kamala Harris, this is her first debate against Donald Trump. And by the way, Donald Trump, in history, this is the most presidential debates that any presidential candidate has ever had for Donald Trump. So he is the most experienced, well-worn candidate to ever do this. And this is Kamala's first. So she has a huge test tonight to show that she's not like Joe Biden and is worthy of being the candidate against our former president.
Yeah, and Matthew, if you want to go ahead and give your response.
Yeah, what Michael just did is code word for let's set the bar really low to make sure that if Kamala Harris says her name correctly and spouts her memorized lines, that her team can declare a win. So, no, you're right. It is one of those moments for campaign 2024 where it will hopefully continue the progress forward for Donald Trump, because the Harris advance over the last month has all but stopped.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they're excited about this debate, but at one point we didn't even know if this debate would continue. It was weeks of back and forth over whether the matchup would occur, under what terms, and also the big question is, will the debate structure impact each candidate's debate style? Because obviously they both have to train differently. And Matthew, we'll let you start this question first as well.
Yeah, don't forget, these are the rules that the Joe Biden presidential campaign shrewdly negotiated when they were trying to protect a mentally addled candidate. And Joe Biden agreed to these, Donald Trump agreed to these, and then there was some doubt as to whether this debate would actually come off. And Trump said, fine, I'll do it. And then Kamala Harris tried to change the rules to have open mics. She wanted notes. She wanted prepared statements. She wanted to be seated, because her campaign lives in utter fear of her propensity for word salad unless she is completely scripted. So yeah, the bar is pretty high for Kamala Harris. She's going to have to clear the, can I hold a conversation with America where I don't have my little note cards in front of me?
Michael, do you want to jump in here?
Sure. The last time Donald Trump faced a prosecutor, he went home with 34 felonies that night. So he does not want to be at tonight's debate against a prosecutor versus a felon.
Well, let's continue the conversation, Michael. There will be challenges for both of these candidates. They both have, they're taking so much time to prep for this debate because they both have positives and negatives that they bring in here. What do you see as the biggest challenge for tonight?
I mean, for tonight, again, look, Kamala has to, again, introduce herself, explain why she's qualified to be president, and explain why Donald Trump has literally no reason ever, any voter should ever vote for him to be president. He has disqualified himself based on January 6th and the riots at our Capitol. He has disqualified himself based on literally everything he says every single day, wanting to be a dictator. But yeah, those challenges have to be on Kamala to bring those up, and she also has to show what her policies are.
Matthew, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so the flip side for Donald Trump is that he needs to come across and not denigrate Kamala Harris and turn off voters and remind voters what they don't like about Donald Trump. But what he also needs to do is he needs to let Kamala Harris talk. She can have her notes and get her off script. And then if Trump is successful in reminding voters that a Kamala Harris presidency equals 4 more years of the failed Biden-Harris policies, record inflation, open borders, high food costs, high energy costs, increased crime, men playing in women's sports, tampons in high school boys' bathrooms, ridiculous things like that. it will be a really good night for Donald Trump.
I do want to ask you, though, Matthew, I found it interesting yesterday, Nikki Haley coming out and making this point that every time Donald Trump attacks Kamala Harris for her looks or her intelligence level, that type of thing, which is something that, you know, he has done over and over again, that actually turns off both Democratic women and Republican women. It seems that this could really hurt him in that capacity. Well, what are your thoughts with a Republican woman coming out and saying that?
Nikki Haley is spot on. And that's what, you know, as I said earlier, if Donald Trump doesn't denigrate Kamala Harris, if he is disciplined like he was during the first half of the debate against Joe Biden and focuses on what he needs to do, he will have a great debate. The challenge with Donald Trump is always Donald Trump. He keeps his own counsel. He doesn't listen to his advisors. And it just depends on which Donald Trump shows up tonight. If it's the disciplined Donald Trump that, you know, played a large role in Joe Biden exiting the 2024 presidential race, it's going to be a fantastic night. If he starts talking about Kamala being ugly or stupid or things of that nature, it's going to be a really long night, and Michael will have a big smile on his face tomorrow morning.
Well, and we're running out of time, but Michael, I do want to give you a chance to respond.
Matt said it all. I mean, isn't it weird that Donald Trump can't not be nice during an entire debate? This guy has more debates under his belt than anyone else in presidential history. Kamala Harris, again, you're going to see a prosecutor versus a felon, and I think the voters are going to be able to decide after tonight.
All right. Well, Michael and Matthew both made your points. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We can't wait to watch and see what happens.
Yep. Less than 10 hours away. Thank you guys so much.